Hello, everybody, and welcome to another replay analysis. And to be honest, I haven't gotten a request for this matchup in quite a while. I feel like I don't know, like 6 months? I've gotten it before, I'm pretty sure, but it feels like it's been a while. But guys, we got a request for a TvP. This is a Platinum level Terran against the Protoss player. Our subject is going to be Davey Boy. And if this is your first time seeing a replay analysis, basically what I do is I look at the guy's game and I help him figure out ways that he can improve at the game overall. Things that he can do better. I try to incentivize him on, to continue to do things that he's doing good already. Basically, I just try to help you improve at the game overall. So, this is a Platinum level TvP. And we'll see how he plays. Let's see what he does. Alright. Also, I don't want to have the production tab open right now, just because I want to be able to break things down with you as you see what, basically I want you to always have the right idea when you play the game. I am clicking on your command centers though, because I want to see how fast you make SCVs. So far, I mean, the game's fine. Nothing really too crazy going on here. Really early scout. That is a fast scout. I would say the scout minimum, if you want to have a scout that's not going to be designed for some type of weird pressure, or if this SCV is literally just to scout, if he's just to scout, I would honestly recommend maybe scouting with this SCV that's being built right now. The first SCV that gets built and pops out of the barracks after out of the command center after your barracks is started. So like 16 supply SCV, and you send a scout out as you hit 17 supply. The reason why that, you might be like, well, ViBE, it's not that big of a deal, right? It kind of is. The reason why is because this is a lot of your economy right now. You have a very low economy at the moment. And if this SCV is literally just going to scout, what are you doing? That's all I want to know. What are you doing? I want to be okay. There is nothing that this Protoss player could do to you that would kill you if you scouted with this SCV instead. And this SCV could just make a lot more minerals a lot faster because you are not even close to being fully saturated yet. It's hurting you a lot in your economy right now. And if this literally just goes to scout him just to see what he's doing, the only way I could justify this scout being this early is if you did something like what Beyond does or some shit, where you basically build an engineering bay and they're natural, and you're like, you cannot take your natural now. If that was your plan, I'd be like, okay, yeah, sure. It makes sense, because you're trying to do something that's early as fuck, and you're going to disrupt his build in some way. But if it's just a scout, all you're doing is you're disrupting your own build, and you would see the exact same thing if you scouted just a little bit later, as you would see now. It's not going to make the difference of oh, I could have defended it all in, or I wouldn't have defended it all in, is what I'm trying to say. It would be the exact same, because your barracks is still in production either way. And you see what looks like a standard build. Super standard. He's not spending chrono boost at all. That's a big deal. That's something to take note of if you don't notice that. You know what that tells me? It literally, just speaking from the logical perspective, okay? This is what I think now. I think that this dude, so he also does, I'll just say, I'm going to say right now, he's playing inefficient. Straight up, he's playing inefficient. But there's two things I think this dude could do if he's not going to chrono boost probes. Number one is he's just going to take a natural because he has one gas, and maybe he explodes chronos after he takes a natural. Maybe he thinks it's a better idea to take a natural and then chrono boost probes after, or maybe he just physically fucking forgot the chrono boost. Well, that single gas makes me think he might go for a natural. There's a chance. But the fact that he doesn't chrono boost, you know what that usually means? If somebody does not chrono boost their Nexus, usually what that means is that they want to chrono boost their tech. So the fact that he's gone one gate core, which is normal, and I would kind of expect to see two fucking gases here, I would assume he wants to make a Stargate or a Robo or something, and he wants to chrono boost that bad boy. That's what I would think as well. One of those two things is going to happen. The chrono boost energy makes me think it's going to be tech. The lack of gas makes me think it's going to be expansion. So it's kind of weird in the middle of the road wherever this is going, but that's what I would feel like it's going to be already. And there's an expansion. So this is what I would call inefficient. It's more efficient for Protoss to just expand through chrono boosting their probes around 20 supply. That's just more efficient, honestly. It's just efficiency. Because he's having slower saturated mineral line. He's basically foregoing the aspect of chrono boost. Like it makes no sense really. It's just slow. So, but the thing is he spins minerals a little bit slower because he's not building probes as fast. So he makes a nexus a little bit faster. But the thing is if he spent chrono boost on probes a little bit faster, he would be making money faster because he could saturate his resources faster. So overall, he gets more money if he just chrono boosts, even though he spins a little bit more to make probes. It's the whole point of Protoss of chrono boost. It just speeds up your aspects of your play. And if you want to expand, you should 100% be chrono boosting your probes. So, anyways, whatever. You had a second SCV attack a probe. I would say never do this, ever. Don't ever do that. Like, if you want to attack his probe, that's fine. But don't, like, chase him all the way across the map. Because I feel like you just kind of forgot about it. And your first SCV is running back to your base now after you mine his mineral line. Your second SCV is just attacking his probe, and you literally just forgot about it. So, that is pointless for you to do that. And the reason why is because, and you say fear of cannons. Here's why it's pointless to fear cannons. If you would have scouted, like, look at this. Okay, check this out. We'll go back. Look at what this SCV builds, right? Watch. So this SCV just popped out of your base. This SCV, his probe gets to your base really fast. This is a really early probe. This could be a cannon rush with how early he gets here. This is literally a probe that built a pylon and came to your base. And the reason why I know this is because it takes about 45 seconds to go from here to here. Roughly, for a worker. It takes, and all workers, by the way, have the same movement speed. A probe, a drone, and an SCV, they all move at the same speed. They all have the same damage. They do have different health bars, but they all move at the same speed and they do the same damage. So, to go from ramp to ramp on most maps, it takes just a little bit less than a minute. Roughly about 45 seconds. On most maps. And this is, when I say most maps, what I mean by that is a standard map. This is a standard map, so it falls into the category of most maps. Maps that are not standard are maps that have like speed zones or fucking slow zones, or maps that have like this weird ass detour because it's like destructible rocks block the middle, and for whatever reason they make you run around the side first until the rocks are killed, or whatever. Maps like that are non-standard, or maps that are not like top left versus bottom right, or I mean sorry, bottom left versus top right. Those are also non-standard maps. Like a map that is not a standard map is a map like Golden Wall, where it's like you literally just cross the middle only. You don't cross diagonally. Those are non-standard maps. Maps like this though, where it's a corner to corner and your probe can just go across the map, that's a standard map. So standard maps about 45 seconds. And now if his probe took 45 seconds to get here, what does that mean? It means he probably left his base roughly around 10 seconds or so, ish. Which means he probably built a pylon at 12 seconds or 13 seconds and then just fucking went right to your base. So this is a pylon probe scout, which is 100% possible to be a cannon rush. But look at look how the probe moves though. Already, this doesn't look like a cannon rush. Now, I would like it still could be. It still could be, but you can tell by people's movements if they're going to cannon rush you or not. The fact that he's not trying to set up a pylon and he's instead just diving into your base. You know how you can fuck him over if he cannon rushed you? You can just build a fucking another depot right there and then attack his probe. And then the probe's dead. Like, what could he do? If you just walled him in your base and you killed the probe. Now, if he had built a pylon over here and then had a second probe come over and start cannon rushing you, yes, that is a possibility. But at that point, all you'd have to do, if you wall the fucking ramp off, is if you have like 2 fucking Marines stand there and shoot the probe every time it comes up the ramp, you just kill the probe and he loses vision. And he can't do shit now. So, like, cannon rush shouldn't really that be a big of a deal for Terran. It's especially if you build on the ramp like this. It's not that scary. The only time it's scary is if you built a pylon right there. If you saw a pylon right there and you built another pylon right there, now I'd be like, all right, bro, a little bit scarier. It's a little bit scarier because that could totally be a second probe getting ready to set up a cannon down here while a pylon reveals vision of the high ground. That's a little scarier. But this probe is definitely not doing cannon rush-esque moves. He's just scouting you. And now, as soon as you get to his base, here's another way. Whenever your scout does get to his base, you can clearly see he made a gateway. This already rules out cannon rush. There's no forge. Because I'm going to throw it out there and just say this. This guy cannot afford a pylon, a gate, a pylon, a forge, a pylon, and a cannon. He can't afford all of that right now. He cannot afford triple pylon and a cannon, a forge, and a gateway at each respective pylon. Because if you were still afraid of cannon rush right now, that's what would have to happen. There would have to be a pylon with a cannon, a pylon with a gate that you already see, and a pylon with a forge anywhere else on the map. Because also you got to realize, if he made a forge down here, if he proxied you with a forge, he could not make a cannon this fast. Because if he ran across the map and got to your base at like 50 seconds, 55 seconds, he would have to make a pylon then, which would take him all the way until like 110. Takes 18 seconds to make a pylon. And then he would have to make a forge, which is like another 30-second build time structure. So he wouldn't even be able to start making cannons until like 140. Does that make sense? So there's zero, like the second you see this, there's zero threat of a cannon rush. Because he doesn't have infinity money. He can't do everything. So you know he's limited because he went for a pylon and a gateway. Just like how your money is limited. And you went for a supply depot and a barracks. They cost the same. Depots, pylons cost the same amount of resources. They have the same build time. Same thing. You could say the exact same thing about a barracks and a gateway. Same build time, same resource cost. So, you know, if you don't have enough money to quote unquote cannon rush him, he can't cannon rush you either, because this guy doesn't just like win the jackpot as the game starts. He doesn't have like 1,000 minerals just sitting in the bank. So yeah, you could be able to read the game like that. If you just compare his build to your build, you should know cannon rush is no longer a thing. So this SCV running away from the 12 SCV mineral line all the way across the map is fucking you over. This is now 2 SCVs out of your first 16 that could be on the mineral line that are just not saturating it. This is huge for your economy of minerals you're just losing. Like, I'm stressing on that point really hard because it's really bad. The only reason, like, if you were playing against an efficient Protoss, he would destroy you because of shit like that. But the only reason why it's working for you is because your Protoss opponent is being just as efficient as you are by the fact that he literally doesn't even fucking chrono boost. So, I mean, that's not good. Okay, you made a Reaper. What is this SCV doing? What's the Reaper doing? What is happening? He's scouting McGill with an SCV? Did you rally? I think you just scouted McGill with an SCV. Okay, so here's a new plan for you. This is my new plan. Use SCV 16. the 16th SCV. Use that SCV to scout. Use that SCV to scout his base. With, you know, just see what he's doing. Also, just samurai, shut up. Yo, Fiosto, I love you, man. This is genius play. 200 IQ. Have your 16th SCV scout across the map, okay? That SCV will see everything you just saw, and it will not fuck your economy over at all. Don't ever send another SCV out to scout ever again. Okay? Especially if you make a Reaper. I don't mind that you make a Reaper. Fuck it, that's fine. It'll definitely become useful for you as you progress towards like Diamond League and Masters League and stuff like that. So it's okay that you made a Reaper. I'm okay with that. Now, when you make a Reaper, start committing to memory jump spots. This is a jump spot on this map. That is the only one. Otherwise, you would going straight up the ramp and it was natural. What you can do with your Reaper is you can jump. I would always recommend going to the jump spot first. Do not use your Reaper to kill probes. Don't fucking do that. Do that when you're maybe Diamond minimum. Probably Masters though. Diamond, like if you're feeling really confident, do it then. I want to tell you right now though, if you're Platinum and you kill probes with a Reaper, I think what'll happen is you might kill one probe, maybe two, but the Stalker will kill you. And what's really going to happen is you're going to tunnel vision the Reaper, and you're not going to make SCVs. You're not going to make add-ons. You're not going to make your tech. You're not going to rotate your buildings. You're not going to do anything. You're just going to like neglect your macro while you try to kill one probe. And you're going to fall further behind than what one probe is worth. Like, if you even do kill that probe and then your Reaper dies, you will fall further behind yourself than the amount of time you put your opponent behind to kill one probe. I guarantee that will happen. So if you do use the Reaper, for now, don't even fucking attack with it. The fact that it's sitting here proves... This is not like its use specifically. This is Platinum. The fact that your Reaper has been sitting here for the last like 30 seconds, and SCVs are sitting here too, the fact that this is happening, it proves that I do not want you to micro the Reaper. Which is totally fine. Just use it to scout. That's all it is. Just use it to scout. And when you scout, all it is you want to scout his opening tech. Because it tells you what he's probably going to do. So we'll get to that in a little bit. I'll come back to that point. But like your scout is really late. If you're gonna make a Reaper, your scout's super late. Because now you're having to choose what you want to do, and you're choosing a Cyclone, which is, I would say that's the best universal choice to be like overall okay. Because it can deal with everything if you micro it. But we'll see what you do after the Cyclone. Let's see what you do. You make a tank. So hypothetically, okay? Hypothetically, check this out. You're going to make tank and Hellion now, which is fine. Hypothetically, though, if your opponent... If you're going to make a Reaper, it's going to slow down your mech. Now, this might just be Bronze to GM style at this point, where you just go tank Hellion into then Thor Hellion. And if it is, I'm okay with it. It is Platinum. But if you're going to just do that, just don't make the Reaper. If you're not like this, I would already say this game, you should probably just not even make the Reaper. Because you haven't even done what the purpose of the Reaper is. And all this did was it slowed down this. It slowed down your factory follow-up. Because it costs gas to make a Reaper. This could have happened, your factory follow-up could have just happened faster if you're just going to play blind. Because right now what the Reaper should be scouting, it should be scouting, is there going to be a Council? Is there going to be a Stargate? Is there going to be a Robo? Or is there going to be nothing? If there's nothing, it's Proxy. If there's a Stargate, you could probably assume it's going to be, it is base, it's probably going to be an Oracle, or maybe a Phoenix. Maybe a Void Ray, but I feel like most of the time against Terran, I guess the Void Rays have been buffed, so it's really all three. Back before the Void Ray buff, it was never usually a Void Ray. It was almost always an Oracle, and then sometimes a Phoenix. If it's a Robo first, it could be for the purpose of defensive Robo play, or it could be for the purpose of, usually is defensive Robo play, or it could be for the purpose of again, Robo defensive, yeah, it's really just defensive Robo play. If it's going to be an Immortal timing, it's probably going to be Proxy Robo. You know what I mean? Like, it's just usually not going to be an Immortal timing if he's going to make a defensive fucking Robo. It's usually defensive play then. Defensive Stargate, same thing. It's probably going to be an Oracle, or it's probably going to be like something that's going to set up into a macro game. If it's a Council is the most aggressive building Protoss can open with. It could be for blink pressure. It could be for charge pressure. Lots of different types of pressure that comes out of that. It could be a DT rush. These things could all be relevant. So there's multiple things that that's why you would probably want to try to keep the Reaper alive if you can. Like, that's why I'm saying don't kill probes, scout the tech, and fucking leave. Whatever he makes first kind of tells you what his build is going to develop into. Because no one's going to go like this. All right, I'm going to go for a fucking Gateway Core Council, and I'm going to go Void Rays. No one fucking does that. No one's like, I'm going to tech all the way to fucking DTs, and I'm just going to make Voids now. Like, if they do that, it's irrelevant that if you do or don't scout that, because it's a bad build, and it's super inefficient, and it's very weak. It's going to be like, wow, this guy has 90 supply, and I have 200. Okay, this guy's build is awful. That's what it would be like. So, if you tech into something, it means you need to kind of commit to whatever you tech into. So you can kind of tell what Protoss is going to hit you with based on what they tech into and how they build it. The Stargates and Robos could be proxied. The more a Stargate's going to be proxied, the more likely it's going to be an Oracle, like worker killing pressure, or it's going to be a Void Ray. The more a Stargate's defensive, the more likely it still could be an Oracle to scout you and pressure you with it, or it might be a Phoenix. That's usually what it means. But again, like I said, they buff Void Ray, so it still could be Void. Stargate's kind of hard to read in terms of what they're going to build out of it, but you can still literally see what they build in it if you actually have a unit next to it, because I don't know if you know this, but you can see what builds in a Stargate through the graphic while it's building the unit, while it's under construction. So you can kind of tell what it is. So the whole point I'm trying to make here is this Reaper is for scouting, and if you're not going to scout and do any of that, if you're not going to respect any of that kind of logic there, just fucking don't even build the Reaper. When should I be sending the Reaper into their base? The second you make it. Like, the second it pops out of your fucking barracks, you should be going in their base already. Because look at this. Core. Reaper. Reaper goes across the map. Core is almost done. Reaper spawns. Core finishes. Protoss can now make tech. Your Reaper crosses the map. If you would have gone here first, your Reaper would be getting to the ramp like right here, right about now. Because look where your Reaper is. If you just went to the right, you'd probably be like right there instead of right here. And if you went up the ramp, right here, if you jumped up into his main, look what you would see. You would see, I mean, you already know he has a natural, but you'd be in his base like right now, and you would see, oh, double gas. He's not chrono boosting his Nexus, but look what he is chrono boosting. He's chrono boosting his fucking core. And you would have seen that. So you know what that tells me now? It tells me this Protoss player probably wants to go for a timing attack, because I'm going to tell you right now, it makes no fucking sense at all to chrono boost your core unless you want to do a fast warp gate pressure. It makes absolutely no sense. If you're going to play defensive, you'd be better off chrono boosting your probes, not your core. But the fact that he wants to take a natural, like, this is what I mean. Like, this guy's build makes no sense either. He's going for chrono boosted core, no chrono boosted probes, yet he's going one gate Nexus. It is like two fucking separate builds. There's a macro build, there's a pressure build that are just kind of like slamming into each other there. They don't really pair very well together. This is what happens in Platinum League. People do fucking really inefficient stuff all the time. And what you're doing that's inefficient is you're making a Reaper and you're making SCVs repeatedly go across the map, and you're not fucking scouting shit. So that's your problem this game. Too much wasted mineral time and a wasted investment of a Reaper. But if your Reaper got into his base, if you felt confident, you could kill a probe and you could leave, whatever. If you didn't feel confident, you could just scout and see what he's doing. And you would have seen, oh, chrono boosted core. He's doing it again. 2 chrono boosts on the core now. And your Reaper could leave and go down here, and it could come right back at, like, 20 seconds later, 30 seconds later. Now, I would feel really good if I scouted him about not having to build my command center on the high ground, not having to build a bunker, if I scouted a guy who was chrono boosting his cyber core, but only doing this off of one gateway. Now, I might think to myself, what if there's proxy gates? So I might actually have 2 Marines right now go like this. 1 Marine, go along the bottom of the map, go scout for proxy gates. Another Marine, go along the other side of the map, go scout for proxy gates. That seems like a logical thing to do. If this guy's going to fucking do chrono boosted cyber core off of 1 gateway. But, again, the fact that he's expanding like if you know there's an expansion, which you do, that already rules out that there's proxy gates. There are no proxy gates right now. Because he cannot afford like 5 fucking gateways with a Nexus this fast. Because can you afford 5 barracks right now? No, you can't. And he also has double gas. And just like you do. So like you can see his investments compared to yours, and you could rule out what isn't there because he can't afford it. And you actually have more money than he does because you are using mules. He is not using Chrono Boost on probes. The equivalent of what this would be like is if you made an orbital command and you had 140 energy on this thing right now. It's like, yeah, you know what? I don't need mules. Fuck them. I'll just scan. I'll just save for scans. Like, that's what he's doing. He's not Chrono Boosting any probes. So his build is super low eco. Like, at least it has a natural, but still. It's no priority there to his economy. And also, there's no tech priority either. Which is another reason why, if I saw somebody who did a build like this, and I was like, okay, dude, your core has been done for over a minute, and you have not fucking built tech yet, I would scout for a proxy. And obviously you're not getting proxied, which just means that your opponent's build is inefficient. That's all it means. Like, there should be proxy gates or proxy tech right now. And now there's a robo. And now if you scouted his base with a Reaper and you saw a robo started over a minute after the core has been done and your factory is like already about to be finished, your factory is also kind of late, to be honest. Your factory should be done already. Like, this is so non-threatening. This is very non-threatening. But again, if like like scouting, I'm not gonna lie, scouting is going to confuse you like fucking crazy. So at this point, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of stop going into the scouting aspects because I feel like I've already talked about so much scouting, and at this point, if like just from what I've said, if you tried to implement what I just said, and you know, I'm not gonna lie, if you have units sitting around like this, I feel like you're gonna fuck your, instead of, you might as well double this. If you try to scout, you're going to have so much more like missing workers on your middle line because you're going to be like, what the fuck does this mean? It's like trying to look at the fucking Matrix code. Like, you're the operator and you're like, I don't know how to read this, guys. Matrix, and fucking Neo calls you. He's like, I need an exit. And you're like, it's my first day, dude. You might want to run around for a while because I need to figure this out. And you hit the Windows key. You're like, dude, it's not working. He's like, I'm going to die. I don't know what to tell you, man. The other guy starts in 3 hours. So maybe you can last until then. Like, you're gonna fuck yourself over if you try to scout too much. So what I would say, because your build is already fucked. Your build's already fucked. So what I would say is just focus on the build. So we'll kind of drop scouting now. We'll just leave it at that. But everything I've said is relevant. If you go back and listen to what I just said, that's how you can read an opener. It is very relevant, and I would say that alone is already more. That's easily enough information for platinum level. That's like that information can take you all the way to master's level easily. So I don't want to make it too long on the scouting.
Had to donate for that wonderful Matrix ViBE analogy.
Yo, thank you very much, lad. Appreciate it. Now we'll back it up and we'll look at your build. We'll just break your build down. Just talking about efficiency, okay? Just efficiency, and we'll go a lot faster now because we're not going to talk about scouting anymore. So again, your builds, other than the scout of like the lost mineral time, your build's fine. You start a core, or you start a barracks, and you start a gas really fast together. Again, more lost mining time. It sucks. I have to say that, but we're not going to harp on it because we already did. You make a Reaper right as the barracks is done. This is correct. You should be making a command center right now. This is correct. Again, if you just feel safe doing this, I'm not gonna get on your ass about it. If you want to do this every time because you're always worried about someone who might proxy you or do some bullshit to your natural, sure. It's not the end of the world to just lift and float to your natural. If you want to just do this for now, just because you're not really sure how to read games, I'm okay with it. Later on, though, when you actually know how to read games better, you would know that there's no reason why you should take you could easily take your natural at your natural. It's not a big deal. Based on how your opponent's playing. Okay. Now, here's where you're fucking up a little bit. Don't make a tech lab before a factory. Don't make a depot. Well, depot's okay. Depot's okay. But don't make a tech lab before the factory. The reason why you can make a depot now is... So, the reason why I say you can make a depot is because you didn't take the gas before you took the barracks. If you took a gas before the barracks, you would definitely want to make the factory first. But because you went racks, then gas, that's okay. It's not bad. But because you did that instead, you could take a depot before the factory because otherwise you'll supply block. But yeah, the fact that you're making a tech lab first, this is gas, which is going to delay your factory, and you're making the tech lab for the purpose of attaching to the factory. So, and also, a tech lab's build time is like 18 seconds, and a factory's build time is like fucking 46 seconds, or like 40 seconds, 43 seconds. So, you're making the thing that builds way faster first, and you're making the thing that builds way slower second. You should make the thing that builds way slower first, and the thing that builds way faster second, to maximize your minerals so that the thing that builds way faster will still finish before the factory even finishes. So it's makes more sense that way. I used to play Diablo 3. Yeah, I did. I've been rank 1 Diablo 3 before in Paragon in Greater Rift pushing and shit like that. I sometimes I'll play new seasons on hardcore because I think it's kind of fun, but then I get kind of bored after a week. So yeah, the fact that you make tech lab first is really bad. Also, the second you start a factory, you should start second gas. So you should have already started your second factory by now, or like easily. You have 33 more gas. Now you have 37 more gas than you should have had. Or actually, more than that. Sorry, this thing costs 25. It's not 20. But you get my point. Like, it's this... Your factory should have started already, and you should have started a second gas with that to afford everything properly if you're going to go mech. So super late factory. Super late factory. And now you're making marine. I don't mind that you make a marine. You can make a marine instead of making a tech lab and make a factory first. And then after you make 1 or 2 marines, then you can make a tech lab. I don't mind that you make a cyclone first. Also, make sure as well when you build buildings, every single time, whenever you build a building, shift right click it to your mineral line. Don't ever leave your SCVs sitting idle like this. You have 3 fucking SCVs sitting idle right now. And one of them also just died to a stalker. So you have 4 SCVs doing fucking jack shit right now. That would have been if it didn't die. That's really bad if you only have 26 workers. You know what I mean? That's a big part of your economy. They're just sitting here for so long. This is really, really bad.
I love the hashtag roast me vibes I'm getting from this gameplay review. It's great to watch for entertainment and educational.
Yo, getting it. Thank you for the bits. Yeah, I do it mainly to help the person. I'm not trying to be mean. But yeah, I mean, I try to make jokes out of it and shit here and there. And too many SCVs just sitting idle. So many times. And I just saw your Reaper. I think your Reaper literally just ran into his base and died. And you made another Reaper. Don't ever do that. 1 Reaper and you're done. Because this is what your Reaper did, right? It was like 3 minutes of sitting here. He's just fucking just like... basically fell asleep on the job, and then someone like yelled at his fucking radio, "What the fuck are you doing? You haven't told us any information." And he's like, "What, huh?" He wakes up, he's like, "Alright, I'm on it. Let's get in there, let's get some info. Oh, I'm dead." Don't make a Reaper. Stop making Reaper for now. Don't make a Reaper, dude. And don't ever remake it either. If it dies, fucking that's it. Whatever happened, happened. Don't remake it if you do make one. Just don't make one for now. Faster factory for you. Because this is just a waste of gas. Now, your gases at your natural can start around the... I would say it's fine. If you take it around the time when your mineral line's halfway saturated, that's okay. With the way you built them here, that's fine. However, I would say this actually. What you should have done before you made an engineering bay, before you made double gas, before you made a bunker. If you make a blind, I'll just say this. If you make a blind bunker and no Reaper, I'm okay with that. So before you made double Reaper, essentially, and before you wasted a bunch of SCVs mining time, what you should do is when you're on double factory with 2 bases and like your base is getting saturated at your natural, throw down a 3rd command center. The fact that you're making all this other shit right now and you haven't started your 3rd CC and you've spent all your money, your 3rd base might be super fucking late. You should definitely prioritize a 3rd CC and then make your double gas around the time when you have 8 to 10 workers on your natural, like roughly. While you could still afford a bunker with no Reapers. You could have Marines in it, just like you do. 1 or 2 Marines, that'd be fine. You can still have just as many depots as you do. You can still have just as many Hellions and tanks and Cyclone, whatever. All that shit could be the same. You could actually have more, to be honest. Like, this is kind of not super optimal. There's dead time and shit in your buildings. But the engineering bay shouldn't even be started until, honestly, like, after you start the 3rd CC. And I know you might be thinking to yourself, well, ViBE, I need a turret. Because what if he makes air? Well, why'd you make a fucking Cyclone then? You're having the same... You're doing the multiple job with multiple things. Like, the same job with multiple things. If you're just going to make fucking blind turrets, don't make a Cyclone. If you're going to make a Cyclone, don't make blind turrets before a 3rd CC. My biggest recommendation to you, honestly, Davey boy, would be... this build is so fucking deviated from Bronze GM Terran. And it looks like you're doing Bronze GM Terran. If you want to do B2GM Terran, just do B2GM Terran. Which means there's no Cyclone. There's no Reaper. It's just fucking defensive. Your depots are also... What the hell is this? Your depot should be there. Not back like this. You're not walling, which is the whole point of the depot wall. Like, if you just really break down B2GM yourself and, you know, the method I use for B2GM, so much shit is deviated already from your build right now from B2GM. Like, you're not, this isn't even remotely close. Like, I can see it's looking like it's supposed to be B2GM, but it's not even close to what B2GM actually is. And this worker thing is definitely fucking you over, man. You really need to shift command. You need to shift command the SCVs on the middle lines much faster. Yeah, it's blind turrets. So if you're gonna make blind turrets, I'm okay with this. I'm not okay with the positioning of this one. I'll tell you why in a second. But this one's good. I'm okay with blind turrets. Just don't make a Cyclone. Don't make a Reaper. Don't make any Reaper at all. Don't make any Cyclones at all. Just make blind tank Hellion turret into Thor Hellion. Just do it blindly. That's fine. And I honestly think you could do that. Like, you could scout with your first SCV at 16, like I said, just to see if he's like one basing you or not. And the way you can tell if he's one basing you or not is he'll have more than 1 production facility at his base already at that point, like 2 gateways or 3 gateways already there, or he'll have nothing there, which means he's proxied you. If he proxies you, or if he has lots of production, you're okay to make a bunker. If he only has 1 production facility, you don't need a bunker. Like, there's only one build that for Terran that can fuck you over, and it's if he makes 1 gateway like this, and then he proxies the 2nd gate. And if we're talking about Platinum level, even if someone does do that, I'm not gonna lie, I really feel like this. If someone goes... If I was playing Platinum level B2GM, and I just made a tank as fast as possible and walled off my natural as fast as possible, I genuinely believe that that person would have a fucking zealot in my base after I already had a tank. And if I had a tank behind a depot wall here and I just sieged it, and I'd be like, oh, cool, I'll just shoot him from the high ground. And if you're making a command center on the high ground anyways, like you do, there's nothing to worry about because the zealot would get to your base as you're walled anyways, and you would not take any damage. and he would just do a bad opener that's like late expansion at that point. So like you don't need to do all these steps you're doing. You're just slowing your own build down like crazy. Like I would honestly say to you right now, if I did my own B2GM build for you right now up to 6 minutes, I actually think I could have everything you have right now at 5 minutes. I could have all this shit that you have right now. I could have it 5 minutes. Like a full minute faster already. Because this is just inefficient, is what it is. It's too much things have happened that are inefficient. Like these SCVs, man, they're killing me. Every time you build a building, you just never shift rally them. I can clearly see this too. There's no green line going back to the middle line right now, which means this SCV is going to build its factory, and then it's going to fucking sit there. But this isn't walled either. You really need to wall this. If this guy did a pressure on you, at least it's a choke point, but like your units would start dying really fast. Because he could just run at your units right away. That's super scary. Like here's one thing that could, I'm not going to say this is real, what would happen, but this is one thing that could literally end the game for you. If like 3 zealots walked in for first, and like 2 disruptors followed it, and he shot 2 disruptor orbs at your army right here, and one blew up like all these Hellions and hit a couple of like hit like a tank, and the other disruptor orb hit this tank as well and hit the other tanks as well. Like one orb blew up like right there, and one blew up like right there. He could fuck your entire army. And then if he actually pushed you with gateway units after that, he would just kill you because you don't have a wall. Like that's just an example. Obviously, that's never gonna happen to you in Platinum League. It will never happen. But what he could do is, what if he had like 15 fucking charge lots just run into your base and get on top of this tank and kill it, and then he kills half your Hellions, and then a second wave of charge lots comes in and he just fucking kills you. You know what I mean? Like you will totally die to so many things if you don't have a wall and you play this way. Like pressure is actually scary if you don't make a wall, so definitely make a wall. Yeah, your 3rd CC is super late. You're playing way too paranoid as well. Too many turrets. Your army's defensive. Just use it defensively.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're double dipping static D and also defensive
And
army.
on top of that, he has the ugliest command center I have ever seen.
That's all good. It's all good. Don't let them treat you like that. Yo, complistic. Thank you very much for the 413 sub.
Command center upgrade complete.
Oh. My biggest recommendation to you, honestly, Davey boy, is download a replay from my replay pack of Terran, if you haven't done so already, or watch a YouTube video of my Terran Platinum games, and just watch the opener again. Like look at the opener, because your build is super far behind right now. I feel like you don't even have a 4th command center started yet, and at almost 10 minutes you should have like 5 command centers now.
Complete.
Also, make sure your Thors go into high impact payload, which none of them are. Make sure you always do that, especially against what you're playing against. Because here's a nice tip. Your opponent's going Colossus. You are going Thor, mech, whatever. That's honestly wonderful for you. But if you go into just Thor, the Javelin missile launcher, it will shoot a Thor. The Thor will shoot a Colossus with its anti-air shot. It will. But it only has 10 range with this attack. It has 11 range with this attack. It has more range with that attack, so it shoots further away. Secondly, it does more damage to a fucking Colossus because this thing fucking destroys single target units. Like, it hits faster and harder. This is good for AoE. You're not AoEing anything on the Colossus. So that missile launcher attack is it's weak as shit versus Colossus. It's what the Protoss wants you to do. That attack is what you should be using against like Mass Phoenix or like Mass Mutas, stuff like that. Things that are light armor and get AoE'd like crazy. If you had high impact payload, you would fucking wreck these Colossus super fast. So the fact that you don't have it on means the Colossus are going to last a lot longer, and what are those Colossus going to do? They're going to roast the shit out of your Hellbats. Which is going to suck for you because it's your whole front line. They're going to die super easy. So it's not good. Make sure you're always putting your boys in high impact payload, and make sure you're always putting your Hellions in Hellbat mode. Like, you can straight up just build Hellbats once you have an armory, and just make sure every Thor, just periodically be like high impact payload, high impact payload. You can select all of them every time and just be like high impact payload. Use the hotkey. You don't have to click it, just use the hotkey. Because the thing about it is high impact payload will not, if you have one Thor in high impact payload and 3 more just spawned, and now you want all 4 of those Thors to go high impact payload, all it will happen if you say go high impact payload is the 3 Thors that are not currently in it will now go high impact payload. It does nothing to the Thor that is already in it. It keeps it in it. But you really want to be in high impact payload. That's important. If you don't ever change it on this game, it's going to make your fight look like ass. I like your depot wall here. This is much better. This depot wall is great. This depot wall is fucking terrible. So build more depot walls like this. Actually connect the walls, and connect it like the exact way you just built this. Like corner, like you overlap. You do it inefficiently. That was great. This was overlap, but there was no finisher. Also, like, you should have built your depots like there, like, you know, or like there. Other way. Just connect it. You need to connect it. Definitely need to connect it. So like, this depot should have been up, not to the side. And make sure it's walled off. Now at this point, you're just now starting your 4th base at 12 minutes. Literally at 11 minutes and 57 seconds exactly, you started your 4th base. As that should be like your 6th command center, or maybe 7th command center right now. You are so far behind on economy, which is why B2GM works so well, is because it's all macro, upkeep, and economy. And you're neglecting it like fucking crazy. Because right now what should be happening is you should have already, when you max out, you should have 80 workers, roughly. You should have like 3 orbital commands, which is you do. You should have like 3 more planetary fortresses and like another command center being built. Remember how I said in every B2GM video, I was like, you have an SCV guy just building command centers. He's the command center guy. Build a command center, float it off, build a new one, 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 float it off. That should have just been kept happening like over and over. Just everything after the 3rd base. PF, 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 PF. Just literally take more of the map, progress outwards on the map as you build more command centers with one dude. And then if you get to a point where you're like maxed out and you have good control of the map, like you have a lot of vision everywhere, have like 4 SCVs all at once. Be like, build 4 extra command centers right there. Or like right there. Or fuck, who cares? It doesn't matter where. Build them there. Just don't traffic jam your army. Like, leave a little bit of a gap somewhere. Squeeze in like 1 like up here. Squeeze in 1 right there. Squeeze in 1 right there. Squeeze in 1 next to the PF. Squeeze in 2 more next to the PF on top of it. And make orbitals as well. You want to get to a point where like you have, you know, like we're talking 8 orbital commands or like 10 orbital commands and like 8 planetary fortresses at all different expansions. And you're going to be fucking solid. And then you have like 16 to 20 factories. Because that's how B2GM plays. It's all about remaxing fast, no micro, all macro. So do your Thors have high impact payload? They do, thank God. Now what are you looking at in this fight? You're macroing. Good. That's good. You definitely don't have enough. You definitely do not have enough economy. You definitely do not have enough economy in this, for this though. Like, you're making so many factories and you cannot afford it. You can't even afford to rebuild units in your factories right now if you spend all your money. So the fact that you're making all these factories is a mistake because you don't have the economy to sustain. Like, you can barely sustain this because, again, you just didn't expand fast enough. So the fact that you're exploding your factory count now to like 9 factories, or actually, sorry, you already have, you have 8, you're exploding up to 13, or 12, you're making 4 more. You're exploding up to 12 factories. You cannot fucking afford that. Like, look at your production. Watch your production. You're going to have idle factories here. Look at this. Right now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and a half factories that are idle. Also, you need more reactors than this. I would say a good ratio would be 75% reactor, or sorry, 75% tech lab, 25% reactor. So if you had 1 more reactor here, that would be perfect. Like, trade 1 into a reactor. This is too many tech labs. So if you have 20 factories, you'd want to have like 15 tech labs, 5 reactors. Because you want to remax fast. That's the whole point. You don't have enough gas to just have pure tech labs. But look at your production. So, like, you have half your factories doing nothing. And I'm not saying, oh, you have bad money situation. It's not like, oh, you're just not spending your money. No, you are. But you can't actually sustain this. And if we look at this, you definitely can't sustain that. Like, it's just going to be downtime like crazy everywhere. So much downtime. This should all be pumping nonstop every time you have the ability to remax. And it's because you just didn't give yourself enough economy. That's all it is. So I talk about this a lot. I talk about this a lot. And I'm going to do it again for you right now. So what these numbers represent is what I want you to do in your own game, okay? I want you to take a replay of mine, the build you're trying to emulate, basically. Take a replay of mine and write down the minute, 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minute, 5 minute, 6 minute, and literally go like this. At 1 minute, vibes at fucking, you know, supply and worker count. So it's like, let's say it's 16 or 14 worker, 14 supply, whatever. I want you to do this all the way to 10 minutes. Write down my worker count, write down my supply, write down my worker count, and don't do it every second. Just do it at like exactly at 1 minute, exactly at 2 minutes, exactly at 3 minutes, exactly at 4 minutes. And then I want you to compare it to your game. And the second you find you're fucking falling off like crazy, where you're like, okay, well, I was actually caught up with ViBE all the way till 3 minutes. And then suddenly at 3 minutes, he grew above me by 10 supply. And then the minute after that, it was 17 supply. And the minute after that, it was 28 supply. And the minute after that, it was 38 supply. And then the minute after that, it was 55. And then the next minute, it was actually 80 supply, and he was just fucking way ahead, and he was almost maxed out. Like, do this for yourself. That way, you can fine-tune where you're going wrong, and you don't have to, like, because what I'm trying to say is if you're 3 to 4 minute, if this right here, if these 2 highlighted points right here, if between 3 and 4 minutes, if you fall off right there, the way StarCraft 2 works is, everything below it now, everything below that is irrelevant now. Because you don't get to have a really shitty early game and then suddenly have a good late game. That's not how StarCraft works. If you have a shitty early game, it makes your late game shitty as well. As soon as your build turns into shit, your whole build's shit. It doesn't get to go back and forth. Because time is important in StarCraft 2. In RTS in general. And if you waste time in for whatever inefficient ways you are, if that ever happens, you don't get that time back. So your build is now inefficiently bad. So you need to, what it really is it's about mastering each minute at a time to be like, okay, well, I have up to 3 minutes mastered. I have up to 4 minutes mastered. I have up to 5 minutes mastered. And if you can consistently do that, add on the next one, add on the next one, add on the next one, and it's great. And then your build will be good. And you'll be like, holy fuck, I just smashed everyone to Diamond League. This is easy. But if your build is inefficient ever, this is where a lot of people think that it does. They're like, Vibe, just tell me how to micro, dude. Tell me how to micro. If your build fucking drops off at any point in time, it never comes back. You have to then figure out how to play the game from super behind, which is fucking terrible. It's not a good way to teach people. So we're just going to teach you how to get behind and how to play from there. No, that's bad, because that means it teaches you how to be how to fail at builds all the time. You know what I mean? Like it'd be like teaching you how to cook, okay? Here's an analogy. It'd be like saying this. instead of actually teaching you how to cook a recipe properly, I'm going to instead always teach you how to burn your fucking food. And then when you burn it, I'm going to teach you how to salvage that. Don't worry. We're going to burn it every fucking time, but we're going to try and salvage the situation every time it happens. Like, that's what happens if you, like, if you fuck it up, it's fucked up. You have to start over. So, again, the biggest thing I can tell you, the biggest tip I can tell you for this, use a replay that is your guide, write down my timers, and then do a game of yourself and compare your timers to it. And the better you get at actually making that realistic, the better it'll feel. Because this build is super fucked. You are super far behind. You should already be on, like, seriously 8 bases. 7 to 8 bases.
Mineral field. Our SCVs are under attack. Complete.
Yeah, now you're all that's happening is you're progressively starting to fall behind now, because you just took an economy hit too, which, I mean, it sucks. It wouldn't suck as bad though if you had 8 bases, right? But it hurts a lot because you're on 3 bases right now. You're starting a 4th, so it hurts a lot. Because realistically now, what your economy looks like is your economy looks like 2 base. You're on an oversaturated mineral line. You're on an oversaturated mineral line. You have no mineral line. You have a very undersaturated mineral line. This kind of equates to like 2 base economy, roughly. This is, for being at 15.5 minutes, if you're on a what is equivalent to a 2 base economy, you could be on a 2 base economy at 3 minutes in the game. Or 4 minutes in the game. You know what I mean? So like, that's fucking painful. This is rough. Like right now, you should definitely have more economy to be able to bounce back from shit like that way faster. And you can't because you just don't have as much as you should. But you're doing the right thing though by making, you know, Thor Hellion. That's fine. You have the right idea about making extra production. It's just you don't have the right idea in economy, and you've never made another command center after 4. You should seriously. The biggest mistake you're making all game, like I said before, is there should be a command center being built every second of the game. Like as soon as you make your 3rd command center lifts off, you start a 4th command center. 4th command center lifts off, you start a 5th command center. 5th lifts off, 6th. Lift off, 7th. Lift off, 8th. Lift off, 9th. Lift off, 10th. And you know when you stop doing that? This is when you stop doing that. When you own that base. Or why can't I ping? When you own this base, and 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 that, 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 and that. Every fucking base on the map. Once every base on the map is claimed by a planetary fortress other than your first 3, which are orbitals, you can then stop making command centers. But you know what's going to happen? The game's going to be over by then. So what does that mean? You never stop making command centers because the game's going to be over by the time that would happen. So it's just you never stop. And if your opponent is putting up a fight and you're like, well, fuck. I have, let's just say, here, now I'll do a new set of pings here. Let me get rid of those pings. Let's just say you own these bases. Okay? Right there. You own all your bases, and you want to put a new planetary fortress at top left, and your opponent is not letting you have it. You're like you keep trying to clear it out with your Thors, but your opponent is like always there, and he's got a nexus there, and you're like, well, fuck, I can't kill that right now. So make it orbital. Just turn it into a fucking orbital command and make another command center. And if you still can't take a new PF, make another orbital command. And if you still can't take a new PF, make it another orbital command. Make up to like 10 orbitals. So that way when you do take a new base, you could be like 15 fucking mules hit it all at once. You just dump the shit out of that mineral line with mules. That is what you should be doing, and you are definitely not doing that. You are neglecting command centers like crazy. This is very behind on command centers. At 17 minutes, you have 5 command centers, and one of them's not even done yet. And you haven't lost a single one yet to being killed. Like, none of them have died. You just have 1 PF, 3 orbital, and 1 building CC. Realistically, at 17 minutes, honestly, you should have 3 orbitals at least. You should have like 6 PFs or 5 PFs depending on the map. Some maps are smaller than others. This is kind of a small map. And you should have, in total, just a combination between PFs and orbital, whatever. Some maps are bigger than others. Makes it easier to make PFs because there's more expansions. But in total, you should have probably, instead of 5 command centers, you should have like 14 or like 13 at 17 minutes. At this point in time. Mixed between PFs and orbitals. You should have so many more than you do. And that's why you cannot afford to do you have not ever since that one fight that happened up here where you were maxed out and you took a fight and then you lost army, you have not remaxed since then, and that was like 5 minutes ago. Or 4 minutes ago. That was a long time ago. And you finally maxed out now. That should not be happening. It should not be taking that long to max out again. And the only reason it is because you can't do it because you don't have enough money. Now watch your supply. You should be remaxed again right now. You should be remaxed again right now. Remaxed again right now. And why should you be remaxed again right now? Because every factory should be able to pump a unit. This is 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42. That would probably be another reactor. So 36. Because it's 2 more supply, whatever. Like, each tech lab represents 6, each reactor represents 4. So what is how many fucking, that's 11 times 6 is 66 in total for supply, and that's an extra 8 for the 2 reactors you have. Or would have had. So it's 72. Or what did I just say? 74. Jesus, 74. That's 74 supply. 74 supply. And you have not lost 74 supply yet. But you cannot build it because you don't have the fucking money to do that. So you're gonna die now because you just, you just don't have enough fucking stuff. That's all it really comes down to. So again, the best way I can help you, I gave you a guideline, but the best way I can help you is you have to help yourself by looking at this. Look at this, and this should be your new method on improvement for StarCraft. For now, like, you are definitely not macroing on point. You are definitely macroing under par. So it's fucked. It's really bad. So do that, and try to hit better checkpoints for what you're doing. Try to hit the worker counts properly. Try to hit the supply counts properly. And then, go from there. And you'll progress as a player, definitely 100%. And always be building a command center the whole game. One. Every time it's done, build another. And you can choose whether it's going to become a planetary or an orbital, but always be building a command center, like the whole fucking time. But anyways, I hope this helps. Much appreciated, Fiosto, Davey boy. Much appreciated, dude. I hope this helps you out. Thank you for doing an analysis, and guys, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. So until then, good luck in your own games. And, always be building. ABB. Or, you know what? Do your ABCs. Always be crafting. StarCraft. Yo, guys, take it easy. Much love. And, I'll see you next time. Peace, everybody.